Ideas and movements. The Bhakti movement. The medieval period saw various religious developments and the emergence of religious teachers who laid great stress on devotion to God. The word bhakti means devotion. It refers to the close personal bond between God and the devotee, expressed through music and songs. The Bhakti movement focused purely on devotion to the Supreme Being. It rejected the complex rituals and the caste system, which created divisions amongst people. Various Bhakti saints spread the idea of devotion in South India. They were the Alvars and the Nayanars, Adi Shankaracharya, Ramanuja, Madhavacharya, the Veerashevas. The saints who spread the Bhakti tradition in Maharashtra were Namdev, Tukaram, Eknath and Jnaneshwar. In this period, certain groups of people also advocated complete renunciation of the world. These groups were the Nathpanthis and the Siddhas. They criticized traditional religion and believed in meditation as the path to salvation. Islam and the Sufi movement. In the 8th century CE, a new mystical movement known as Sufism emerged within Islam. The Sufi movement originated in Persia, present-day Iran, before spreading to other parts of the world. It was a reaction against the growing extravagance of the Islamic Empire, which was growing richer and more powerful. The Sufis were a group of Muslim saints and mystics. They felt that such pomp and grandeur was taking people away from the basic simplicity of Islam. They also were against the orthodox elements in Islam. The Sufis led a pure and simple life with emphasis on self-discipline. They believed that it was possible to get closer to God through devotion and love. A pure heart and compassion were important to achieve oneness with God. To become a Sufi, a seeker needed to find a teacher who was known as Pir. The Pir would act as a spiritual guide and would be succeeded by one of his disciples. The grave of the Pir was known as the Dargah and was a center of pilgrimage. The Sufis led lives of self-discipline and piety. They were organized into religious orders called silsilas and lived in khanqahs. Sufism in India. Sufi saints came to India with the Turks in the 12th century CE. Most of them belonged to the Chishti and Suhrawardi silsilas. One of the most important figures associated with the spread of Sufism in India was Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti of the Chishti silsila. He was highly compassionate and interacted with people of all backgrounds, including lower castes. His dargah, which is located at Ajmer, is visited by thousands of Hindus and Muslims alike. Another prominent Sufi saint was Nizamuddin Aulia. He was a disciple of Baba Farid. His khanqah was a place where many poor people were fed and given spiritual education. He was extremely popular among the masses. Amir Khusro was one of his prominent disciples. Sheikh Salim Chishti was a descendant of Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti and a well-known Sufi mystic during the reign of the Mughals. Akbar held him in high esteem and built the city of Fatehpur Sikri near his camp. He even named his first son after him. The beautiful marble mausoleum of Sheikh Salim Chishti is a prominent building at Fatehpur Sikri. New religious developments in North India. The advent of Islam and Sufism in India created a new tradition of syncretism, that is, mingling of the two faiths, Hinduism and Islam. A number of Bhakti and Sufi saints of this period combined elements of both the faiths and had both Hindu and Muslim followers. The growth of trade and urbanization during this period led to the emergence of new towns and cities. People belonging to different occupations were willing to listen to the new saints and believe in their ideas. Thus, we find that the period after the 13th century CE saw a new wave of Bhakti movement in northern India. There were many popular Bhakti saints in the north. Ramanand was a very popular Bhakti saint who lived in Banaras. He had disciples belonging to all castes. Ravidas was a poor cobbler born near Banaras. He taught that it was not caste but karma, actions, that determined one's status. Chaitanya was devoted to Lord Krishna and introduced the practice of Kirtana, where devotional songs were sung in large gatherings. Sankaradeva's teachings were based on the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavata Purana. He taught that a devotee could worship Lord Krishna by uttering his various names. An important impact of the Bhakti movement was the development of music. The Bhakti saints used songs like bhajan, kirtan and abhang, which had an emotional mass appeal. Jayadeva of Bengal composed the Gita Govinda in Sanskrit. Each of his songs was composed in a particular raga and tala. Women Bhakti saints. The Bhakti movement saw a large number of women saints expressing their devotion through devotional songs known as bhajans. Janabai was a Maharashtrian saint poet from a poor Shudra family. She composed a number of bhajans. Ganga Sati was a saint poet who wrote in Gujarati. She wrote bhajans which she addressed to her daughter-in-law Panabai. Ratanbai was another saint who composed bhakti poems and worked on the spinning wheel. Mirabai was a princess of the Rathod clan and was married to the crown prince of Chittor. However, she was an ardent devotee of Lord Krishna and believed that she was married to him. After her husband was killed in battle, she refused to commit sati and went to Vrindavan, spreading the message of bhakti along the way. She is well known for her bhajans, which are sung even today. One of the greatest bhakti saints in North India was Kabir, a devotee of Ramanand. Kabir believed that through humility, love, contentment and devotion, any person could reach God. He was firmly opposed to caste, superstitions and meaningless rituals. He was also against idol worship. He preached the message of universal brotherhood and the oneness of God. We get to know about Kabir's ideas through his dohas or couplets, which are popular even today. Guru Nanak and Sikhism. Guru Nanak preached that people should follow a rightful path comprising truth, lawful earning, wishing well for others, having good intentions, and offering service to God. He lay emphasis on devotional gatherings called satsangs. His philosophy combined threads from both Hinduism and Islam. After his death, his ideas led to the formation of Sikhism. The Guru Granth Sahib is the holy scripture of the Sikhs. A pilgrimage is a journey to a sacred or holy place. Usually, pilgrimages are undertaken to the place of birth or tomb of a saint, temples, mosques, or places of religious significance. With the spread of Bhakti and Sufism across the country, regular pilgrimages were undertaken during specific periods of the year. Alms were distributed during pilgrimages. Thus, we see that new religious ideas and movements of this period tried to bring unity among people from different religions. They continue to enrich our lives in many ways.